Hi, everybody. Welcome back for the second part here. I'm Beth. I will be running this second part of the Woodland Rescue. Very excited. I'm glad that everyone came back for part two. That's good news. And just really stoked to be able to wrap up this story for you all. Let's go around and introduce ourselves. Let's start with Rachel. How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great. I'm Rachel, also known as Arya Galaxy. You might see me in the chat occasionally around Superior Adventures Guild. I will be playing the adorable hedge monk Hippa tonight. I'm very excited to continue her motherly instincts and fun hiya. And I have done a few other games with the guild, and I love it here, and I'm planning on being in some more games in the future, so stay tuned.
Excellent. Glad to see what Hippa can, karate chop her way through today. Awesome. All right. Next up, we have the coolest, scariest, greatest Javante. How's it going?
I'm doing fantastic. Great to be back again. It's almost like I never left. I'm Javante. I play Scourge Vandire, the Vulpin Warlock, probably the one scary member of our cute brigade. You can catch me on a lot of stuff with Guild Superior. In fact, time travel to yesterday, and you could see me in our Vesson game. Come back in next Sunday for Vesson again. I'm also in a bunch of other TTRPG things, including stuff that I'll reveal at the end of the episode. I'm super excited to be back in. I absolutely love doing this stuff. It's super fun. Can't wait for this session.
Awesome. Yeah, please go and check out all of the things that Javante is in, because it's a lot of things. Next, we have now you're an old pro, Deb, at streaming games. After one episode you're in.
Yes.
Yeah. How's it going today?
It's great. I'm so glad to be back. This is part 2 of my streaming debut, and what a group to be part of. This is great. I play Honey, the Maypac Rogue, and it's going to be exciting to see what other shenanigans we can get into. I think we've got such a, for the most part, cute group that we are trying to save the Humblewood. So I'm excited.
Yeah. Listen, Scourge is cute too, in a creepy way.
Yes.
Yeah.
As long as he doesn't eat me.
I make no promises. Bleak season, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, Beth. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, nice. Bleak season. I'm at the Bleak season on Twitters. You can find me here also. GMing and playing all sorts of stuff. Tomorrow in Greyhawk, in the DM Dave's Greyhawk game. On Thursday in my own Shadesong game that I GM here. And as Javante was just saying, on Sundays we have a little Vason game going on. That's going to be, I think, a lot of fun. This game has been fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing where we're ending up. I play Filgia, who is a Strig cleric of Twilight. And I mean, what more can be said when you're an owl? You can party all night. I just stay up all night and just spin my head around all night. And
perfect. I would like to see you spin your head around to really role play this character.
But if I do it, there's going to be a knock at the door. This priest is going to come in. He's going to be like, and it's just,
that's true. It'll be a whole thing.
Yeah. Whenever it happens, it's just annoying. So I try not to. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you're all here. Why don't we remind everybody what happened? I'll get into a bit of a recap of all of the things you did in session 1. So in the first part of this story, the adventurers were called to the canopy level of the great tree city of Alderheart. They were guided by a young and enthusiastic Gerbine named Skip, and the party arrived at the offices of the members of the Birdfolk Council. So there they met with Dolores Sagittaria, the mayor of Alderheart, and she shared her concerns about the growing bandit coalition and their radicalized leader, Benna Saradin. So recently, Benna had 3 of the most prolific tenders of the Scorched Grove kidnapped, and then brought to one of their bases of operation in the Crest Mountains. So it was the mayor's hope that your group could help bring the tenders home, and she sort of promised, decent pay and maybe even some housing in the canopy. With that, you set out to rescue the missing tenders. You ventured through the wood. You found some paths through dense plant life. You saw a beetle. And then you came to this just massive gouge in the earth, a deep ravine that cut through the wood for miles. And with some pretty clever bridge crafting and impressive acrobatics and sheer will, you're able to get across. After that, you were chased by a swarm of ember bats that you demolished, and then you met a big ash snake that you also demolished very, very easily. It was awesome. Your skills and your strength helped you through that fight. So after that, you pressed onward and made camp after that long day. And that's where we find ourselves now. So you're at camp, and how's everybody feeling? What are we all doing?
We still in a resting situation at the moment.
Is it the morning or the evening, or what's the situation?
It's the morning. You've had your rest. You're sort of, waking ready for the next day. You know that there's a lot of ground to cover still, but you can take a moment to get ready.
Scourge will probably be up early. Since he's outside with the sun coming up, he's going to try to get up before the sun just starts cresting, and he's going to find just a little area of seclusion and just mark out the same crescent slashes into the ground, and just sit for a moment, think about, and just. It's been a bit since we last talked. I wonder, do you still hear me, your favorite son? As he looks up to what is probably still relatively dark sky. Can you still hear me?
There's a fair bit of silence. You can hear, the sounds of the forest around you, but in a moment of quiet, you feel a little bit of a breeze roll by, and in your head, you hear, "I can always hear you, darling. You're doing very well."
It is difficult these past few days, playing the part of a protector, but it's rewarding in its sense. It's like look back over to the group. I haven't been this close to home in quite some time.
You don't get any response after that.
He rises, stands straight, and just when he starts to get over to where they can see him, he returns back to his crouched walk.
What's everybody else doing this morning?
I think when Scourge turns around, he already sees Hippa cooking bacon on the fire. And she looks up and she says, "Oh, did you get some good sleep there, sleepyhead?"
As good a sleep as I can get out here. I see you're already busy prepping food.
Always. Food is my love language. And I love you guys. So I'm always going to cook for you.
There aren't like little pig people, are there?
No. Bacon is okay. Go ahead.
Hippa has an existential crisis at 6 a.m. about if they can have bacon.
Wait,
Yeah, she
Uncle
gives
Jimmy.
Scourge some bacon and says, "You can't tell me you're not hungry."
He just takes it and looks around at it. Gives a sniff. Always.
Yeah, that's what I thought. See, that's why we get along so well, you and me. I love to cook, you love to eat.
You know me so well.
How's Honey faring?
She's okay. She got a good night's sleep. I think she got up somewhat early and took a little bit of a walk slightly away from the group where she could still see them, but was kind of looking around for any berries or herbs and things that she could find to help Hippa with breakfast.
Nice. Very good. Yeah, you're able to find plenty. You've done enough foraging to know what is edible and what is definitely not. So you're able to get a decent variety of items to make the breakfast a little bit more well-rounded.
Yeah, we do like pancakes, a little berry compote on top. It's very
Beautiful.
classy.
Excellent.
Feel
Hippa and I
nice.
have made breakfast together before at the monastery, so
Yes.
Breakfast buddies.
yes.
How about Filger?
Like 2 sausages and a link. I think so. We didn't really have time to get into it too much, but at the end of last session, after the combat, Filger got a little bit existential in his thinking and in his discourse. But that was sort of his way to hide a little bit the fact that he was kind of shaken after the fight. He will certainly have gone to bed late because it would have taken some time for him to kind of calm down from the fight and sort of get over that, because he's not quite as courageous perhaps as he likes to pretend to be, but also the fact that he's a Twilight cleric, so he would have done his praying and all his good stuff, at night before he got too far into the night. So anyways, he would have probably stayed up a little bit later, being a night owl and all. In the morning he would be always sleeping, and so he's probably the last one to awaken. Probably only awakens either when he smells the bacon or when Scourge kills him, and waking up sort of as usual, kind of late, seeing that everybody else is already kind of packed up and kind of sitting around the cooking fire already, be like, I haven't missed the breakfast, have I? I'm sorry, I overslept again. I don't know. I don't know why I can't seem to get out of bed at night. Start hurriedly kind of get out of bed in the morning. Start hurriedly kind of putting his things together and just sort of internally kind of searching himself to see if, is this the day he breaks or is he still all right? And realizing he's probably still all right to go on, we'll make his things together and then approach the fire. What do we have this morning? Any field mice? And he'll sit down.
Bacon today.
Made you a special plate.
What's on the
So-
special plate?
Yeah.
What do you want to be on the special plate?
I originally thought you might be a vegetarian, but I thought that was pushing it too much. Too
Lots
far.
of veggies, a little bit of orange juice. Yeah,
Very
good
nice.
balanced breakfast.
A continental
Fantastic as always,
breakfast.
Hippa. I don't know what we'd do if you weren't with us on this journey. Your cooking always makes it worth the while and all the stressful miles.
Well,
I really appreciate you. I don't know if we tell you enough, but then I'll pat you on the back very carefully, of course.
oh yeah, so you don't get pricked there, dear.
I learned my lesson the first 5 times.
Yeah, of course. Well, I don't do it for the words of appreciation. I do it because I love to cook.
And that's what's so great about you. Scourge,
Look-
sorry. Good.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, Scourge, you know the area better than most of us. Are there more things like that snake waiting in lie for us in every crevice and hole in this place? Or can we expect to find a little bit of peace on the way here? I must admit that that snake was put a little bit of a fright.
What I know of other things?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that you're pretty keyed into, especially the darker side of things in Humblewood. So I think that you probably know of at least a few creatures, beings, magics that might come about, but you know that there's probably more that you haven't heard of. Always more to explore.
There's never a shortage of things that Mother Crucis has deigned to bless us with. But as far as it comes to things I know in specific, difficult. Some things are new to me here. As far as being worried, I wouldn't fear too much. I'd be more worried about the things that have our level of thought process out here.
Not thoughts that I'm afraid of so much as sharp claws and poisonous fangs, to be honest.
Sharp claws and poisonous fangs can be avoided if you take the right paths. But an arrow, or as he removes his sickle and spins it in his hand, or a blade, that's very different.
No. There's some things you can reason with and some others that you can't. Although, sometimes I wonder if the two don't overlap a little too much, but you should put that away before you hurt yourself or one of us.
He looks at it, dangles it from his hand, and as he opens his coat and just drops it, and you can hear it hook onto something.
Why the sickle? It seems to be a very impractical weapon. It must get stuck in your enemies all the time. Why would you choose the sickle? Is it symbolic?
It's a memento. When I was raised here, we were given blessings from what we worshipped.
From what we worship? Not who.
What. What she is and who she is varies. As far as what I believe. My pack believed in her as the goddess of slaughter, Mother Crucis. And you reap what you harvest, as he shows the sickle again. Thus my gift. It's symbolic. I do have my share of more practical weaponry, but I prefer the symbolism. Just as you, wearing the armor and the trappings of regality, you are a man of power and protection. Your armor is a representation of that. My sickle is a representation of who I am.
The armor is utilitarian. It's so that I don't get stabbed. It really, if I could do without carrying such heavy lumps of metal on my body, I would. Unfortunately, my feathers are not much for holding off a stiff breeze, let alone a sharp blade. But I get your meaning.
Maybe you should try quills then. I don't have to wear any armor.
Not all of us are so gifted by nature.
Well, I think that's the point, though, when you think about it, is, we're out here in nature, circle of life, things live, things die, and then they go back to the earth, and then they live again. And I think that we all just have different perspectives on it, but at the end of the day, we're all ended up the same place. Back to Mother Earth.
Picks at his teeth a little bit.
And yet here we all are, fighting tooth and nail to stop people from getting hurt or getting killed, or for the fire spreading too far and too wide. And I don't think that most of us are very happy to voluntarily go into the cycle of nature. I think most of us are rather intent on not following the cycle of nature.
Scourge, for once, remains a bit more subdued on that, and just
I don't think I don't think Scourge is wrong about symbolism, though. I wonder, Filgur, if your armor and its symbolism weigh not only on your feathers, but on your heart.
Well,
Ippa sipped some tea that she made.
a weight is a weight whether you carry it on your shoulders, on your mind, or on your heart. A weight is a weight, and one must learn to bear it if one is to continue moving on and soar, although obviously I can't soar. I can only do what you saw me do yesterday. But I would rather carry the burden of caring too much for the well-being of others than to carry the burden of, I look at Scourge and that sickle, darker things.
Well, you all continue to eat your breakfast, this weighing on your mind. And as you finish eating, you realize that perhaps this conversation really sort of was the, I guess, appropriate way to start this day, because you know ahead of you is the Scorched Grove. So you'll pack up camp, and then based on your conversation with Mayor Sagittaria, you kind of, poured over maps together, and fortunately the route that you had to take is pretty much due east. So that's helpful. And you know that you have to be pretty close to the edge of the Scorched Grove. You can kind of feel the presence of the grove before you actually see it. The closer that you move towards it, the warmer the air becomes. And then you feel like you're just a little bit too close to a campfire. It's just a little bit of discomfort. Suddenly the lush green trees and the dew-speckled flowers of the wood give way to an open landscape of nothingness. Before you is the Scorched Grove, a massive plain seemingly void of life. You do see what used to be trees, the remnants of them, scorched yet still standing. You can even make out a few of them that still look like they're burning slowly from within. The air is hazy in front of you, and you're not sure if it's the heat or the smoke or the magic that's said to reside here. You can hardly see the silhouette of the Crest Mountains beyond the grove for the smoke. Are you ready to move forward?
As we come upon this, Philly will just take a deep breath and say, "Behold, the work of the sickle."
Almost beautiful in a way.
As you step forward, the ground beneath your feet cracks and crumbles like charcoal. You have to pay attention to where you step. There are patches of the ground here and there that you can see just below the surface glow with a faint orange. It's barely visible, but it seems as if those are places where perhaps a fire just died. And you see just sort of, it's hard to tell until you get a little bit close to them, but if you were to, prod it with your shoe, it does feel like charcoal that's still got a lot of heat to it. So as you're walking forward, you kind of take in the space before you, and a lot of this is having to trust each step that you make and hope that you are continuing in this eastward direction. You all are very adept at survival, having been out here in the wood, and you've been beyond the wood plenty as well, as you've been adventuring together for a bit, but it's a little unnerving. Even with your expertise, it's sort of a strange feeling that this gives off. And as you keep going, you see the sort of haze that comes with heat off in different places. It just sort of tricks your eyes a little bit as it waves and wiggles just sort of out of your vision. And as you continue forward, I need Honey to make a dexterity saving throw.
I was going to say, Beth, that I would like to use Vigilant Blessing on myself.
Great. Perfect.
Just
Okay.
because looks like the kind of place where...
Excellent.
I got a 12 deck save.
12. Okay. So as you're walking, you sort of note one of those spots where the ground is a little bit, iffy. So you sort of go around it. And as you're going around, out of nowhere, a burst of flame comes up from the ground. There was no sound to preempt it. It just happened. You are a little bit a ways off of it, so you're able to move out without anything happening, though you do feel the heat of it. Shockingly hotter than the air is around you already, and you know that was a close one.
Oh,
Stop.
are you
I'm
okay?
going to stop for a second and just kind of look around and say, this place is more broken than I thought, and kind of put all four paws on the ground and say a little prayer of lament from the monastery.
I hope this doesn't herald
I'll join her
ROUSs.
with that. I'll join her with that prayer and kind of put my hand on Honey's shoulder and chant the same prayer with her. And I'll say at the end of it, if you want, you can stand behind me and maybe I can take some of these hits for you.
Thanks. It's always good to team up.
Filgear, there are no ROUSs in this particular swamp, nor
say that.
quicksand, I think.
You say that.
TBD.
You say that.
Are there
Yes.
any creatures around at all?
You're not seeing anything. And that is also unnerving because you've heard so much about this place and the dangers that you reside here. And so as you're going, you do see scorched trees, few and far between. You continue to walk for 20 minutes, 40 minutes. Now it's been an hour and a half, going a little bit more carefully, knowing now that flames can just pop up whenever they choose. And the heat is getting a little bit more oppressive. You feel that the discomfort of it is sort of giving way to just a touch of fatigue. You can tell you're not quite feeling your best here.
Can I try like taking some of our water rations or something and like ripping up a couple cloths to like put on our foreheads or like on our necks to help with the heat? Or
Yeah, absolutely. Roll a d20 for me.
okay. That is a 3.
Okay. So you take out a water skin, you have these torn pieces of fabric that you douse with the water. You're able to hand them out and put them on your foreheads, and within a moment's time, any coolness that remained in this water is gone. And even after a few minutes, they dry out. It's a very dry heat here. You'll need every drop in that water skin to make sure that you're still feeling okay.
Well, at least we have cool bandanas now. We're starting to look like a team. Did we decide? No.
Team Spicy Sugar Mama seems to be
Team
the
Spicy
consensus.
something. Yeah.
Spicy Sugar Mamas was the liked option.
Well, I guess we can go with it for now, but well, we should probably vote on it later. I still have some other ideas.
Filgear, you have the highest passive perception in the group. And so after, just leaving your bandana on your head because it looks cool, you all keep walking, and you see sort of off to the side, sort of the haze of something. It looks darker than the sort of smoky air. And when you sort of turn your eyes to look at it, it does ripple with the sort of, waves of heat. But you see a figure. You're not 100% sure what kind of figure, but it is, it's a head and a little bit off to the south. And you sort of know that in the direction you're going, you'll get closer to it. You're not walking directly at it, though.
Okay. Although something looms on the horizon over there, can anyone make out what it is? And I'll sort of point out general direction. Yeah. There appears to be some form of... Is that a head?
It does... It does look vaguely humanoid as you continue to walk, and as the ever shifting view of it seems to come together bit by bit.
So it's approaching, is what you're saying.
As you walk forward, it gets a little bit closer. It does appear that it's walking towards you, moving towards you. It's hard to tell, but it does seem humanoid.
And like roughly what size? About just like a regular...
I would say probably it's fairly tall, about maybe as tall as the mayor, in fact. She was quite a bit taller than all of you.
Hippa, what do you want to do? Should we just ignore it or confront it? I don't feel good letting it just keep coming towards us without us doing anything, or perhaps slipping in behind us.
Can I do like an insight check to try to see like if this thing seems evil or just like passing by, like the beetle?
Sure, yeah.
I got a nat 1.
Okay.
Going great.
Why are you looking inside your pockets? It's over there.
It's a 5. Yeah, I like turn around the opposite direction. I'm like, this way?
No. Oh, never mind.
What? Oh,
let's just keep an eye on it. Let's keep walking where we're heading, but let's keep an eye. If it gets too close.
I know there's not that much to hide behind, but my cloak is sort of the same color as the ash. I wonder if I could sneak toward it and get a closer look before we make a decision.
I wouldn't want you to get too close to it, so that if it's a threat that you are separated from us, but if you want to do perhaps like we did with the beetle and simply vanish and wait for it to catch up and see what comes by.
I'll do my best.
Do be careful.
Yeah.
You got this, honey.
Honey, are you going to be sort of like sneaking, stealthing? How are you going to approach?
Yeah, sort of like as close to the ground as I can on all fours. I put my hood up and try to blend in a little bit with the ash.
Yeah.
And I want to switch my Vigilant Blessing over to Honey. Great.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. So you start to sort of creep your way forward. It's fairly easy to be quiet out here. The ground is rather soft, a little warm, but soft. And you get a little bit closer, and it's sort of confusing because the closer you get, it should look clearer, but it doesn't seem to be. And then as you get closer still, it sort of vanishes from your sight, reappears for a moment, and then vanishes again. And you're left with an open landscape once more.
I will make my way back to the group. I couldn't get a good look at it. sort of appeared and then vanished and appeared and vanished. I don't know if it's a mirage or some sort of magic. I have no idea.
Maybe a ghost?
Could be.
There are probably quite a number of angry spirits hanging about, but I think it's probably more likely a trick of the heat. It did seem to be wavering like a heat wave.
Well, I say
let's keep an
we
eye out.
keep going. We gotta try to get out of this scorched grove before we all shrivel up like raisins.
It is
Which is
getting a
not
little
the
hot and
idea.
dry.
Yeah. You can keep moving, again, being very careful of your movements. Can I have everybody roll, let's say a survival roll for me as you
pretty
keep
good at
walking
that.
through. I want to see how everybody's faring here.
19.
Great.
I only got
17.
a 13.
I have +5 and I got an 11.
Great.
Yeah, I have +4. Didn't
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, you know what you're doing. And so it does take a little bit longer being careful, but you're able to continue forward. At times you think, gosh, maybe we should just run. Maybe we should just run forward to get out of this heat, but you think better of it and continue just moving at a very even pace. As you keep going, you see other sort of flickers around you that it look like they might be something, but then you realize it is just the heat, until you look ahead and there seems to be something bigger and it's moving towards you, and it keeps moving towards you.
These mirages are getting more and more realistic with each passing minute.
And it presses
try-
forward.
I can try throwing my boomerang and seeing if it cuts through the smoke or not.
Yeah.
And yes, I have a boomerang.
Yeah.
I don't know that we want to antagonize it in case it's not a mirage. Perhaps we simply try and get out of its way and see if it's still coming towards us.
You can't get out of its way. It is coming. It is moving towards you, and then suddenly it's within sight, and it's an ash snake again, like the one that you fought.
Damn.
And it rears up in front of you, and then it's gone,
Oof.
as if it was never there before. But it looked so real here, not quite like a mirage.
I'm not sure I like this place.
I have a question.
Yes.
Knowing how Scourge does things, would there be a way that I could tell if what's happening are illusions, like minor or major illusions?
Yeah. Why don't you make like either an Arcana check or like maybe like an investigation check, either one.
I'm gonna do Arcana.
Okay.
That's an 18.
Yeah. So you know that in this place there are creatures, actual physical creatures that can do physical harm. But you also know that this place is known for tricking the minds of those that pass through. That you're not sure, though, if it would be something that is inherently magical within this space, or if maybe it's being brought upon you. It's just, you know that it's definitely not real, but kind of real. Yeah.
I would be cautious. These things may not all be illusionary, but the majority are here to cause fear, sow discord. So, no matter how much it tries, just don't be afraid. And that way, very much more beast-like as he walks.
Yeah.
I'm frozen.
No, you're good now.
Do you have anything that might help us feel more empowered and less fearful?
When you sort of bring that up and look at him, you realize he's staring off kind of into this, and he's been listening to Scourge, and he's sort of looking at all this fire and everything that's going on, and in his hand he's got like a handful of his feathers that have just molted off because of the heat and that are kind of scorched a little bit, and he seems kind of a little bit gone, like maybe he's not quite in the present moment, or he's having some less than fond memories. And when you speak to him after a moment, he kind of snaps out of it and goes,
I pop one of the candies from earlier into his beak. Sorry. That's
but sorry, it's just my mouth it's very dry now. I'm sorry. What did you say something? What was that? Oh, candy, I'll have it. Thanks.
Yep, that was just candy. Because candy always makes me feel better. But no, I was asking.
I like trying to get to the center of it.
How many licks does it take to get to the center of that candied almond?
I'm crunching it as we speak.
It's really crunchy, really loud.
Were you saying something? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just asking, just because I knew some clerics and magic users and things back at the monastery. I wasn't sure if there was something that you have that might be able to help us combat fear or different scary things that we might encounter.
Unfortunately, those sort of enchantments are not my forte. I'm a bit more versed in the combat arts and the healing arts. There's not too much I can do right now. If ever one of us appears to be in the grips of some deep terror, I might be able to help them. But for now, we have to rely solely on our own courage. And as he says that, like he's looking at the fire, and you can tell there's a little tremor in his voice. To rely on our own courage and, well, on each other, I guess, to get us through. Keep a close eye on each other.
We've got each other's back.
Bilger, did you drop any feathers when you were kind of holding them?
Yeah, I like when he started choking from the thing, he would have probably let go of his feathers. Yeah,
I think Honey would have grabbed them and used Scroungecraft and made little like headdresses for everyone, and kind of I think she would say, I know these aren't magical, but I think, maybe they can help us believe that we are as brave as other people think we are.
If only that were so. I have many of those feathers. It would make my life much easier, but thank you. This is very kind of you.
We style Filger's like head feathers with like ash or something to make them stick up.
You've got the strip of fabric that has now become a bandana, and feathers are sort of tucked into that. Just a few, because you did molt a few of them, but
you don't want to plug
not
the chicken.
Too many. Exactly. And with this, you do get a little bit of a sense of camaraderie. As perhaps you continue, go ahead.
Perhaps I can, and I'll rummage through my bag, and perhaps my mouth is too dry, but I'll take a little swig of water and I'll pull out my pan flute, which I have, and the tools, skill to use it. And as we walk, I'll play a little air, but because of my frame of mind, it's going to be a bit more dirge-like than perhaps I would want. But we'll try to.
It fits the location. Yeah. Give me a performance roll. Let's see how this song goes.
Oh, it's going to be terrible.
I want to dance as we're walking. Can I do a performance roll too?
Please do. Yes.
Actually, can I do acrobatics so that I'm doing like flips and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, 19.
Oh yeah. So
nice.
Got an 11.
Good to know. You play well. You always play well. Really, this is more of a concern about can you even finish a song with how dry the air is here, but you know exactly what your group needs, and that's a little bit of normalcy as you make it through this. So like you do, you bring out your pan flute and you're able to play something that sure might be a little dirgy, but it is comforting in its own way. And Hippa, you start to dance, and you do some cartwheels and things like that. And
I think with 11, it's probably more like a somersault, like the occasional.
You try.
Yeah.
You try. You're able to get some. It's kind of like a kid's cartwheel where their legs only get off the ground just like a little bit, but their hands are on it.
Definitely. And she always does like one of these afterwards,
yes.
like looks back at everyone like, huh?
This moment of levity is much needed, and even as you're walking a little bit further ahead, every so often you see just a little blade or two of grass, just barely, not anything taking true shape, but just little bits that offer just a touch of hope as you pass through here. And then as you continue, there is a moment where this breeze sort of passes through, and it touches your skin, but it doesn't do anything to cool you, really. It feels sort of relieving, but maybe it's the air smelling a little bit nicer, not quite as acrid as the smoke that you've been breathing. There's even a hint of something almost floral, and for a moment it feels nice, and then it becomes a lot. It's just too much. The smoke is still there and the heat is there, and now there's more to it. And Scourge, you feel your senses overwhelm. The aching, the pull that lives in your gut begins to vibrate throughout your body. You feel your back hunch and your hackles raise. Your vision tunnels, and rational thought is lost. You are base, focused, the strongest version of yourself. You blink, and suddenly you're looking at yourself from the outside. You see your long claws digging into the ground, and your legs are loaded like springs, poised for action, and you watch as your own eyes lock on your party ahead. They seem so much smaller than usual, and your grin peels back even further than normal to reveal hundreds of sharpened teeth. As you're looking at your body sort of in this position, what are you thinking?
If this is going to happen, then I want to have control when it happens.
Just like that.
And I'm going to start.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to fight my way back into having full control over myself.
Yeah. So you move towards your body and try to sort of leap back into it. And as you leap, it's like a snare was tripped inside of you, and you leap towards your body, but you see your body leap towards Hippa. Time seems to slow, and just as you see your own jaws begin to close around her neck, honey, the heat of the grove is terribly uncomfortable. It's dizzying. You squeeze your eyes shut, hoping to regain a sense of balance, and when you open them, you feel a little bit better. You look to your friends for comfort, but you don't see Hippa or Filgir or Scourge. Instead, you're with another group, your previous party, your friends. A tall Corvin with shiny black feathers and twin ferrets with a raucous sense of humor and what sometimes feels like a telepathic bond between them. There's a young chickadee, so eager and sweet, You all make decisions together, but they look to you to decide what's right, so they gladly follow when you say you've just learned about a shortcut that will cut your journey in half. A quick trek through some marshland, and you're on your way. Until small feet get stuck in a hidden ooze that wraps up legs like jellied vines. And though it all happens so fast, you see the look of terror in the eyes of your dear friend. What are you doing?
I kind of squeeze my eyes shut again as tight as I can make them, and there are sort of tears coursing down my face, and I just keep thinking, I'm sorry, it's all my fault, I'm sorry, this isn't real. And I try to push my way back to the current reality that I know is around me.
Yeah. You try to fight this, you push against it. It's not a dream. It's not a dream. It's a memory. Your other party members, they look desperately to you to figure out what to do. And then they're joined by a Strig and a Hedge and a Vulpin, and now 7 pairs of wide eyes beg for your guidance. You squeeze your eyes shut one more time, so tight, and Hippa, you focus on the rhythm of your feet hitting the ashen ground, the feeling of your air, or your lungs taking in air, your heartbeat, anything to make you feel grounded in this unnerving place. You take a slow, deep breath, and when you exhale, you feel your shoulders relax, and you're no longer in the scorched grove. You're at the Priory of Verdant Hope, your monastery. You stand in the courtyard, embraced by the walls of this place, the comfort therein, and a fellow monk comes up to you. He's shivering, and he asks you for your cloak. So you take it off, and you drape it over his shoulders. He thanks you, and he walks away. Another monk appears and asks to borrow the wraps that protect your wrists and hands. So you unroll them, and he takes them from you, and then you feel a tap on your shoulder as another monk faces you. She smiles and takes the whisk from your hand. You didn't even know you were holding it. Strangers then enter the courtyard, and they start to line up to ask if you can give them your belongings. The line gives way to a crowd, and now they ask for your time, your energy, your patience, your youth, your optimism, your empathy. You get lighter and lighter with each thing that they take from you until you aren't sure if there's anything left of you at all. The priory's walls then begin to close in on the courtyard, pushing the crowd closer and closer around you. How are you feeling?
I think Hippa feels conflicted because she has spent most of her life giving and giving and giving. And in this moment, it's occurring to her that maybe she should take some back for herself.
You feel this, and you feel like this is a moment that you're learning something, but the walls continue to edge closer, and the crowd begins to move like a wave, and you're afraid it'll wash over you. So you curl up and you prepare for the wave to break, and Filgir, your throat burns with inhaled smoke, and you cough to clear your lungs of it. The air here is very dry and hot, and you ruffle your feathers and you flap your wings to try to bring some cooler air to your body, but it's just more heat and dust that swirls up around you. And the air continues to swirl, and you feel it lift you up, and suddenly you're gliding. And you've aimed yourself away from licking flames and billowing smoke, and you feel like you know what happens next, but you can't stop it. A burst of flames appear before you, and you're singed and forced to crash land. From the ground, you fight your way through the flames until you can barely stand, but you're suddenly lifted by a crowd that chants your name. A woman calls you a hero, and the rest of the crowd cheers, "Hero, hero." They carry you on their shoulders with the fire creeping closer behind you. What are you feeling in this moment?
He starts fighting it. No, you don't understand. Stop, you don't understand. I try to push them off of me, and I just try to get out from their hands and just try to push them away and claw my way out of it. And I try to fly again with my wings, but I know that I can't, but I'm trying to get, no, you don't understand. Please just stop. Don't do this.
They keep cheering and shouting, and someone shouts then, "A medal for our hero!" And you look down and you find an ornate medal hanging from a silk ribbon around your neck.
And the weight of it just drags him down to the ground on his knees, not able to lift his head as it's just pulling down on his neck. And he's like, he's just trying to lift it up and kind of carry it. He's like, no, you don't understand. You can't do this. It's wrong. Don't do it. And I tries to rip it off.
Hero. They keep chanting. They pull you up from the ground. And as they pull you up, this metal that already weighs way too much for you, it grows. And then it's the size of a dinner plate. And the crowd begins to squeeze your legs tight as they struggle with the weight of you and this metal. It grows and it grows, and it's the size of a wagon wheel. And the crowd crawls with you on their backs, gasping out, "Hero, hero." And then your back hits the ground again. And the weight of this metal presses into you, and it presses you further into a bed of ashes.
I just stop fighting it, let it squish me, let it squish the life out of me.
You sink in ash, and you keep sinking. And then you jolt awake, and you let out a sputtering cough, and you look around, and you think you're in the grove, and you see your party, and it looks like everyone is stepping out of their own nightmares. And I want all of you to make wisdom saving throws, please.
Pretty please.
Please?
See.
Like you didn't just traumatize us.
I don't know, guys.
Natural 1.
That's the one bad roll I get. That's a 7.
Okay.
I got a 16.
16, okay.
Yeah, I rolled balls through 7.
Okay. So
Defeated by wisdom.
you all try to shake this off, this feeling. Each of you have been touched by things that you hoped not to think about for a while. Even Scourge, this relationship that you have with this part of yourself that is you, very deeply you. In the moment of seeing this and watching yourself lunge at your friend, who you now look at, and she looks rattled and she looks scared, and you have the just innate feeling and sort of deep primal nature, but also sitting in your gut, it kind of feels like guilt and shame. It's there. You're not used to feeling these, so you push it, but it's there. And you can feel each of you, not so much Hippa, but each of you feels just heavy, fatigued. This has been something. And as you continue through the grove, you'll all have disadvantage on any skill checks because of the weight of this place and what it has sort of made you encounter with yourself. Hippa, you feel like something has been revealed to you that you kind of didn't really consider. You are a kind and generous person, and that's who you are. And you are a little put off by this, but you see the rest of your friends really having a hard time, and maybe now's not the time to change who you are. And so you rally for them. And you continue to walk forward.
I think Honey wants to get out of her own head and is looking for anything else to think about. And so she looks at Filgur and just says, I know it wasn't you.
And that makes two of us.
It must be heavy.
As we said earlier, we all have our weights to carry. Mine's no different than others. If I may be so bold, you don't look so good yourself. I wouldn't hazard a guess as to what you saw in there, but I'm willing to bet whatever it is darkens your heart as much as what I saw darkens mine, and that's the case. You have my full sympathies.
I think with Hippa having come to this conclusion that she needs to still be who she is for her friends, you guys see she's going to turn around and face all three of you. And she tightens the bandana on her head and she pulls out her whisk and she says, "We will not let this grove and this past haunt us. We will make it through. We're going to keep pushing on. And on the other side, we're going to make biscuits and we're going to be fine. And I need you all to follow me." And she's going to turn and start marching forward again with the most determined and slightly stern voice you've ever heard her have. Almost as if your mother is scolding you a little just to get you to keep pushing a little bit further.
I think Filgur has been a little afraid to even entertain what Scourge might have seen in there. But at this point, I'll take a second to take a look and just try to get a gauge on what's going on with Scourge and how he's feeling and how he's behaving.
His hackles are still up. His body's still very hunched. And you can actually see his claws digging into the ground as he walks. But he is focused forward.
You each continue to move forward. Hippa, like a shepherd, guiding the rest of your party forward, and they keep going. The steps are a little bit slower, a little bit heavier. And Hippa, as you summon everything in you to continue to be strong here. And before you see something a little strange. Previously, as you've been walking, things are hazy and smoky, and things that you see have an illusory effect because of this heat. But ahead of you, you see something that looks sort of clear. There's still haze between you and whatever this is, but it's looking clear. And as you keep walking and you keep guiding your friends, you get closer and it becomes clearer. And it looks like a cabin. And you keep walking and the cabin it's illuminated by the sun. And you glance up and you can see sort of like a shaft of sunlight coming through all of this haze and smoke. And you get closer and closer and you can start to make out more. There's this cabin and a lush ground around it covered in clover and grass. And there's a well and a garden that looks well tended. And you keep moving forward. And you saw mirages, and this does not feel like a mirage. You keep pulling your group forward, and out of the cabin, as you're probably 50 yards away still, you see what looks like a white bird folk sort of draped in very like ethereal, hippy dippy sort of clothing, with, as you get closer, you can see a beaded bracelet and a shawl, and everything is in earth tones, and she looks warm. And you're about maybe 20 feet away from the space where the grass begins. And this bird folk looks at you, and she turns, peeks her head into the cabin and says, "Dash, we've got guests." And then she faces you and says, come, please get out of there. Let's come here.
I double check at my party around me that they are also seeing this.
Yeah.
And I point my whisk towards the grass and I say, "You three, go sit down over there. Go sit down in the
be
grass."
Mindful. This place has played tricks on us quite a few times already. We would be fools to simply give ourselves over to them.
I didn't say go in the cabin. I said sit on the grass, and we're gonna find this out. And I have a good feeling about this. I've got a
Don't
good
take
gut
any
feeling.
Unnecessary whisks.
Go sit down.
As you
She gets really harsh for the first time ever.
Figure, as you're sort of saying, like, we need to be careful. This is, we've been tricked before. This bird in front of you says, I know it's hard to trust, but I assure you we are very real. And here, and she pulls from the well a big bucket of water, and out comes another person in sort of similar coloring, but a little bit more buttoned up. And this is a gray rabbit, and he comes out and he says, "Oh gosh, okay," pops back in, and a second later he comes out and he has glasses, and you're able to fill the glasses and take water, and the water is cool. And that's when you sort of realize that the air around you is nice. It doesn't feel hot. The weight of it is lessened, and it feels sort of shocking. The white dove before you says, "I'm sorry, my name is Ollie, and we're tenders." She points over to the rabbit, and you have reached a safe spot partway through the scorched grove. And the rabbit sort of stands up and shuffles himself a bit, and he says, "We know what you've seen out there, and just know that you can take a minute here. Just
looks like we found the eye in the storm, spicy mamas."
They sort of look at you a little strange, but Ollie,
we're workshopping the name. We're working on it.
Okay.
I'm Hippa.
Hippa.
Thank you for providing us this space.
Absolutely. Come. I know you probably enjoy the sunlight, but please come inside. We have some food. It's nice in there, and maybe we can talk a bit. You look like you've seen some of the things that this grove can dish out. Please. And
yes, we had an encounter in the ash that has shaken us, but I think that now that we've found this place, we may be able to process some of it. But this is Honey, Fjolgir, and Scourge.
Please come in, and she'll usher you in. And as you mentioned that you've had a bit of an experience, Dash says, "Yeah, I don't mean to be rude, but y'all look like shit. Just please come in and we can talk about this. This place, it can eat away at you if you're not careful. There's magic out there that tricks your minds and it lies to you. And Ollie is sort of fluttering around. You're sort of shaking off the haze of this moment, and you start to take in this little cabin, and it's not big at all. There is a little side room that you can see with the door open, has a couple of cots, and they look fairly comfortable. There's a nice little table, some seating, a bit of a kitchenette, and other odds and ends, some alchemical items, things that, just would fill a shelf of oddities, frankly. And Ollie flutters around and brings you some food, and Dash sits down in a chair, sort of encouraging you all to do the same. And he puts his feet up on a table and says, "Now, just what did you see out there? Nobody's injured, are you? Sometimes people get burned. Y'all look okay physically."
We're mostly
right?
just exhausted, I think.
Sure. Okay.
Seems
All right.
like maybe my skills not as sharp as they usually are.
Sure. Yeah, that happens. It's an oppressive weight, and I don't envy anyone who has to go through it, and that's why we're here.
How is it that you do live here? What is protecting it? Phillier looks very suspicious at all. I mean, he's not like sitting down or doing anything. He's just like,
Yeah.
This ain't real. How is it that you do live here? How do you protect yourselves from the terrors that lie outside? They certainly did a number on us.
Ollie sort of, flutters along with the group, and she says, "We know this is it's a very odd place in this very odd place. We've sort of built outposts as tenders throughout the Scorched Grove. There are only a few because they're very, very difficult to maintain, but we've been able to apply magics and just power to be able to break through some of what's happened. And this is what we do everywhere, but we needed something because even though we do this all the time, we sort of tolerate things a little bit better, but it doesn't matter how tolerant you are. This place is unfortunate. So we needed a place to stay, and we're only here for a little bit. We sort of, run things a little bit here, clean them up, tend to the garden a bit so that it's ready for the next guests. And we take shifts as tenders to stay here and to hopefully help anyone who crosses through. And, what are you doing here? Why would you travel through the grove? You know that you're not really supposed to, right?"
Well, that was my question. People are not supposed to be traveling through the grove, so why are there rest stops along the way?
Well, they're for us. And Dash is like, I see that you're a little bit wary here. I get it. Please, take all precautions. We don't have weapons, in case you were wondering. And he sort of looks down, and but feel free to hold on to yours if you don't trust. That's all right. We need these places. We need them. Our job is, well, I mean, I don't want to toot my own horn, but it's important. What we're trying to do is very, very important, and we need a place to rest just as much as anybody else does. And I mean, you've felt it. It's unpleasant, so we try to find ways to keep it light. Tenders are moved around all over the place. We never stay in one area for too long, just because different places have different effects, and that can really build up on you.
But what is causing this? I've seen forest fires before, and none of them have ever made me feel like every dark part of my inside was being brought out for viewing.
Yeah, and you would know that, generally speaking, the conversations around what's happened here in the Scorched Grove are varied depending on who you ask. A lot of folks think it was just a really bad fire, and that's that. Those are typically the folks who haven't been close enough to it to understand what you can see here. You also know that the majority of people believe it to have been some sort of arcane fire, perhaps something that came through from a different time or a different place or plane. That's what we're here to do, actually. Dash will say to you, our whole goal is, as tenders, is to both heal this place and also learn what it is we're healing it from. And it's been really hard, but this is a tradition that we carry on. So this outpost has been here for decades now. A couple others are a little bit newer, but it certainly helps us as we do our work. Now, y'all are traveling through. I guess you don't have to tell me, but I kind of want to know what you're all doing out here.
Look at a hippo and just sort of see what hippo wants to do.
Well, just trying to help out people at our hometown. Back at Alderheart. And, well, essentially we just got to get across the grove and back again somehow. So we're trying our best.
Talking about Alderheart, Ollie sort of perks up a little bit, and she takes her arm and she just like aggressively pats Dash on the shoulder, and she says, "These must be the folks that the council sent to save the tenders. Is that what y'all are doing out here?" You don't have to tell me, I guess, but
is that what we're?
It is.
Like specifically? Yeah. Okay. I'm just making sure. I don't want to say yes and then...
Yeah.
It is why we are here.
You're the tenders then?
Three.
Well, we're not those tenders, unfortunately.
Three of your brothers and sisters.
Yeah, we heard the news about the fact that they went missing, and it's a real shame.
Did you know anything about it?
Well, only so much as we've been told. Last station we were at, they did let us know. It's only been a little bit, but it really has us feeling discouraged, if I do say so.
How far are we from exiting the grove and approaching the mountains?
Honestly, not too far. Maybe about another, I guess, half a day. Not too bad. We're a little bit past the halfway point, I guess, from the wood itself to the edge of the grove here. So hopefully this rest here will allow you to feel a little bit better before you carry on.
Do you know anything about the bandits who have taken your brethren?
And Ollie sort of you can see her good-naturedly roll her eyes, and she says, "Yeah, they're not the first bandits, and I'm sure they won't be the last, but this group is a bit more powerful than others have been, or at least a little bit more focused, I guess. We've been warned of really just their leader. She's very smart. Her name's Benna, I think, and I think she had some trouble with the fires herself. It seems, I don't know, you don't really put up a fuss like she does unless things are personal, right? It all feels a little bit sad to me, but I know that they're strong And I know that if they've taken some of us, I really don't know what they're planning, because we don't harm anybody. We just do our work here, ideally for the betterment of all of the folk in the wood. And if they've taken 3 of our tenders, then, well, I don't want to imagine what they're up to.
Do you think possibly they're trying to create more spaces like this one, like this little slice of heaven in the middle of the grove?
Oh, I don't think so. They generally steer clear of the grove. It's a much longer journey to travel either north or south of it, but they've passed through a few times. They've never stopped at any of these places, and frankly, I don't know how, but they're wily. They've got a bit of a hideout up in the mountains, I'm sure you know, but not all of the bandits seem to stay there. There's not a whole lot of traffic. We've been told it's a bigger organization, but you know, at least there's somebody up there. I think that's where they were taken, and we would leave, but if we all go to find our friends, then there's nobody here. So we're kind of stuck for the time being, just hoping. But it's really good to see you and to know that you're here to help.
Of course. Glad we found some allies in on perhaps what was one of our darkest days. We've traveled together for quite some time, the 4 of us, and this has been a bit of a low, but hopefully we can turn it around, right, gang?
Of course you can. This is
there
great.
a safer way to travel the rest of the way, or will it
You know
just
what?
be more of the same?
Any advice you have to get through the rest of the grove without falling into, scary thought would be very
Yes.
appreciated.
Absolutely. So, as tenders, we've learned a few ways to protect ourselves. It's still overwhelming, but that's why we do our work here. I do have a few tricks that I can show you, and you know what? Let me. I'll get some things from the garden. And she sort of like bustles her way out, and Dash sits there sort of quietly. He looks to you all, knowing that you're thinking, what the hell is happening here? And he says, we grow some plants here that if you pluck the leaves off of it, we can sort of I don't know, if you sort of just chew on them and keep them in your mouth, it does something. I don't really know exactly what, but it does something to, I guess, ease the effects on your mind and your heart a little bit. Not much we can do about the heat, unfortunately, but we do have water you can fill up while you're here. But we should be able to get you something that'll make it a little bit easier going, and we'll give you enough to get you back here. And then, I hope that you stop here afterwards just to, take a moment again, but we'll make sure that you get safely home after that. And then right then, Ollie sort of bustles in, and she has a bunch of leaves plucked. They're sort of like resting in a shallow basket. And you see them sitting there, but next to them are a bunch of berries, and there are some carrots and peppers and just other veggies and fruits from the garden. And she says, okay, so she starts guiding you through the whole shebang of what you need to do with these leaves. And she says, and this is just for you. You can either have some here, you can take it with you, but we really just want to make sure that you're doing all right. You're clearly doing us a favor by helping our friends.
What's the flavor profile of this?
Of the leaves?
Yeah.
So they are they're like a little bit bitter at first when you first sort of like break the surface and get some of the liquid out of it, but that passes pretty quickly, and they are a little bit sweet, a little bit herbal. There's like a hint of a mint quality to it, but it also reads a little floral, which is interesting. So it's fairly pleasant, considering you're going to have to just chew on it for a while to, feel anything. It's not bad though. You've definitely eaten worse plants in a pinch. So
You see Hippa's like kind of tasting it and like trying to think of different recipes that might like lend itself to it. She's like, maybe add a little bread, a little cheese, make it kind of like a rosemary brie type situation.
This miraculous herb seems to be a little bit too important to roll into pastries, perhaps, but
you just hear
that's where you and me strongly disagree, Fjolnir, because I think anything should be rolled into pastry. And
you just hear in the background the very like dog like
oh
Scourge has tried to chew on some just
Scourge spit it out. It's okay. Yep.
It's safe to swallow if you need to. Don't worry.
I'm just picturing like when your dog has something in their mouth, they like spit it out,
and they like move their tongue and yeah. You look way less intimidating.
Give him some peanut butter.
Unless you know something else that might be of use to us, I think perhaps we might continue on our way if we can take some water with us.
I think we don't mechanically need like a long rest or anything.
No.
But if there was a way to like cure our level of exhaustion.
Yeah, so it's not a technical level of exhaustion. It's just sort of an effect of being in the space. You feel now, having been here for even just a little while, that has sort of ebbed away. And then as you sort of chew on these leaves, the heavy feeling in your chests, it starts to lessen, and you feel fairly normal, especially considering that it's still nice and cool in this space, and it's going to be unfortunate walking back out of it, but for now you feel pretty good. So I don't think you need to worry much about that.
I would
go ahead.
Ask what were our hosts' names again?
Ollie and Dash.
Ollie and Dash. I'd say Ollie and Dash, of course, thank you so much for letting us stay here. If there's a chance I could speak privately with my party. Nothing personal,
Please.
just just want to check in with them. And we'll let you know if we need anything else.
Absolutely. We'll go inside. Take your time. If you need anything, let us know, but just say goodbye before you leave. We want to see you off. Oh, okay.
Of course.
Great.
I'll give you my focaccia recipe. We'll be good.
Wonderful.
I just wanted to ask the three of you, I know that was really tough. And if you ever need to talk about anything, of course I'm here. Just wanted to offer the chance now. We can talk when we get through the rest of the grove, but how are we doing?
Fine. Just want this over with.
Of course.
The experience that we just had in that grove should not, I would assume, be entirely unfamiliar to all of us. Perhaps in its intensity it was, but I know the things that I encountered back there are things that I struggle with every day, and still I find the ability to get up in the morning and don my armor and go to work. So I would assume that once we get over the shock of the intensity of the experience, we should be able to proceed and see this quest through, as people need us. And, well, we shouldn't let our own personal little inner foibles spoil other people's lives, should we?
I think we can be brave and also recognize what's troubling us. I don't think it has to be one or the other.
Well said. For a chef, you're fairly wise.
I am very wise. I'm also quite old. That could be part of it.
How about you, honey? How are you?
This herb does wonders. I think the cloud over my head is dispersing.
One wonders what sort of cloud someone named Honey would have, but
As you talk things out a little bit, only dipping into the feelings because it's a hard place to be. Yeah, big feelings. You need to process them on your own a little bit. You let Dash and Ollie know that you'll be on your way, and they thank you for stopping by. They make sure that you have everything that you need several times.
I make sure they have my focaccia recipe.
Yes, and Ollie is over the moon. Dash seems, fairly indifferent, but Ollie will lean over and whisper to you, "He's gonna love this. This is perfect. Thank you so much."
Consider putting the earth in the bread and then maybe stretch out how much of it you're using.
That's a very good idea. Yes. Okay.
Love some experimental kitchen type stuff happening in the middle of the grove.
We'll have to try this. This is fantastic. And thank you for going to find our friends. They do very good work out here, and we'd like to see them get back to it. So just thank you.
Of course, we're going to do our best, and thank you for your wise advice. I think we're going to be just fine.
Sure. You will. It'll be great. And you take a moment, take one more deep breath of this fresh air and step forward. And as you exit this bubble of space that felt so lovely, the heat sort of washes over you again, and it is hot. It is not comfortable, but it just feels like physical heat now. It doesn't feel quite as heavy elsewhere, and you're fairly confident that if it stays like this, you can make it through. And that is where we're gonna pause and take a little bit of a break. So we should be back in just a few minutes to see how these folks get through the grove and where they end up.
if we get through the grove, let's face some facts.
Possibly, yes. We'll see how it goes. Hello. Welcome back. We hope that you all took a break from the emotional damage that everyone had to endure. No tears were shed, to my knowledge, but we'll see if I can make it happen later.
Tears. Internal
TBD.
tears.
Yes, weeping inside. So as we come back, your group has just left this, oasis in the middle of the scorched grove, and you continue onward, feeling quite a bit better than you did before. This sort of like chew that you have to keep in your mouth is really doing wonders, and you're pretty darn glad that you were given enough to come back with too. So you keep moving. And you don't really see mirages like you did before. There's still sort of the wave to the air that comes with this heat, but you're kind of realizing that might just be a natural heat from this place. I mean, why it's hot, that's, anyone's guess, but that seems to be a little bit grounding. No ash snakes popping up to try to scare you. It's a lot more easygoing. So you continue to walk through the grove. The time doesn't seem to stretch on like it did before, even though you're sort of making the same distance forward. And eventually you see that you're able to see the shape of the mountains sort of coming together closer and closer, and you realize that the haze is only covering so much. You're probably getting there, and then the land gets a little bit less flat, and then you're able to sort of see beyond the grove, and you're now at the foothills of the Crest Mountains. So as you step off from the ashen ground of the grove and you step into sort of sparse grass, it's a lot colder on this side. Certainly not just because it was so hot in there, but it's a little bit chilly. And you now are standing at the base of one of the big peaks. You can kind of see, based on the information that the mayor gave you, you know that there should be a relatively simple path up. Simple, I mean, we'll see how that goes, but it was a place that folks did have to travel to and from ages ago. So there has to be some way up that might make sense. So as you walk closer and closer, can I have anybody make either a perception check or survival check to try to see if you can see where it might be good to sort of enter and start scaling these mountains?
I think, Fjolger, you have really good survival, right? Oh, I think we can't hear ya.
I do, and I will guidance myself because I always forget to do that. But
Yeah.
Ooh.
guidance is always good. All right. What were we talking about? Survival?
Yeah.
Survival of the fittest. No, well, that was a 17. Plus my 2, plus my 5.
Yeah.
So
That's
whatever,
fantastic.
24.
Yeah, so you kind of glance around, and I mean, it's not directly in front of you, but you're able to sort of peek, and you can sort of see how some of these cliffs sort of come together, and you can see a bit of a progression of height that sort of gives you the idea that maybe this will be the proper direction. And as you get a little bit closer, trying to see, you can tell that this is probably the best way up for you. So you all begin to walk up the sort of beginnings of switchbacks on the side of this mountain. You were told that you have to sort of go between two, and this fortress is supposed to reside there. The mayor said that you'll eventually be able to see it, and that should make your journey a little bit better. But for now, you trek forward.
Let the whisk lead us forward.
You have the whisk lead you forward. It does start to get a little bit cold in your cute little hand, because it's just it's a little nippy out here. But frankly, the air feels fantastic after the heat of the scorched grove. So I don't see anyone complaining about this. And as you go, Hippa, you're pretty dexterous. So any bits of the ground that are a little bit iffy, you're able to maneuver, and the rest of your group follows. But occasionally you sort of hold back, and Honey will lead, and then the rest of the group sort of gets together, and it seems like you're sort of taking turns as the shepherd to push everybody along. Scourge, you feel the rock beneath the snow under your claws, and you're able to sort of grip into them a little bit to make sure that you're not, slipping here and there. Now, your center of gravity is always very low because you stay low, so it doesn't feel too difficult for you. And as you continue up I would like for, let's say I'd like for everybody to make a perception roll for me.
Mine's just an 11.
Okay.
13.
17.
Nice. What about you, Philgear?
Dirty 20.
All right. Yeah. So you're switching back and forth, and it's not too steep, fortunately. As you sort of come across a curve, Philgear and Scourge, you're sort of at the back of the pack right now, and Scourge, you feel it in your bones. You look off and you see in the distance, not too close to you, the sort of camouflaged white and gray fur of a creature. And as you continue to get just a little bit closer, you're able to recognize that this is a mountain lion. Now, it's not a mountain lion as we see them. This is a little bit bigger. It sort of looks like a snow leopard, but enormous. On its body, it has spots to sort of hide it in the snow, but on its face, the spots sort of become bits of jagged rock that protrude from it, and you see they sort of frame its face. Its brows are stone, and but the rest is covered almost like a normal cat would be. It's a very odd sight that you frankly have only heard about. You see it in the distance, and you're not sure if it's seen you. It's about
Stop moving.
Is that what I think it is?
Mountain lion. Not like the ones that come down near our place, though. One from here.
That can't
Interesting.
be good. I'll signal to the other two. Sorry, we were in back, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like behind us kind of thing.
So you've just made a switchback. You're at the back of it, and you see it sort of forward. It's not on your direct path. You can see where your road sort of curves again a bit, but it appears to be perched not terribly far off, certainly within view of your path here. And you watch as it sort of just lazily lays there, and you see its tail sort of flip a little bit here and there as it looks outward into the distance, not quite in your direction, but out there.
Keep the
Meanwhile,
little ones
Hippa's like-
between us.
Hippa's like, honey, I found this cool rock. Here you go.
Oh, thanks. It's so
Okay,
nice.
we'll,
Bilgear.
yeah,
The little ones. Keep them between us.
we'll hustle forward and sort of get past the two little ones. Because
Hey, look
I
at this
imagine
cool rock I found.
That's
Yes.
adorable, Hippa.
it is,
I
but
need you to focus.
Oh. Something happening?
There's
be
a...
quiet.
Just stay between us.
You
Don't
got it.
move. Don't move quickly. And keep your eyes focused forward.
Focusing it.
I'm going to start walking.
Yeah. So you continue walking. You try to keep your eyes forward, but every so often you flick them to where you know that this lion is, just to be sure. And at one point, you see that it looks at you. It recognizes that you're here, and then it looks away. And you're able to keep going up and over just a little bit. And you glance up again, and it's there. And you see another, much smaller. There's a baby that is sitting along with what you presume to be its mother. And the baby sort of bounces around in the snow a little bit, like kittens do. And, well, not in the snow. They don't, whatever. But, it's cute is what I'm trying to say. And so it sort of bounds around and it sees you. And it's young. It doesn't know. And it starts to come towards you a little bit. And suddenly the mother is looking at you with intent.
Can I take the feathers out of my bandana and scrounge craft a little bird type toy basically and just chuck it away from us?
Are you talking about a toy with feathers hanging off and a little bell inside?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So currently where you are, it's still elevated above you on sort of like a perched cliff. And so you'll be, seeing it up there, and your group is a little bit off. The closest that you get is a little bit of a ways away as you keep sort of switching back. You do see, if looking forward, that your path does start to diverge farther away from it. So you're not going to be getting exactly in its business, but you are close, and the mother is watching you. Really, really watching you. And you can see, especially you, Scourge, you know what things look like. And you see as her posture changes almost imperceptibly in the moment, but you can see it happens, and she's different, and she's looking at you. And the baby sees this toy sort of get thrown past it, and it looks, and then it looks back to you, and then it bounds off and gets the toy. And the mother watches you still, and you start to hear a rumble. And you aren't quite sure what this rumble is. You're on a mountain. It doesn't sound good. But you hear a rumble. And you realize it's coming from this mountain lion. And could I have somebody make a nature check for me?
If you do it, I'm going to give you guidance.
I'll take it. I'll take the guidance. Oh my
Not
god.
me. Not me. I have a +0.
How does guidance work?
Roll an extra d4.
Mhm.
Cool. Oh my lord. All right, so that was an 11 plus. It's a freaking. I got 12.
Okay. Yeah, so you're not sure, but sort of deep in the back of your mind, you remember hearing something about a mountain lion's roar. And just as this hint of a memory sort of flickers in your mind, this rumbling that you hear coming from this mountain lion erupts, and you hear a growl that is so gritty. It sounds like rocks being pressed together, yet still the sound of a growling cat. And then there's more rumbling, but it's not the cat. The ground seems to be shaking below you, and you look ahead, and further up the way, you see as some snow begins to slide down, slowly at first, and then faster and faster. Everybody needs to make a dexterity saving throw as this snow barrels down on you. You can try your best to duck within the switchbacks and maybe avoid the worst of the blow, but it is coming for you.
Can I?
Nat 20.
Oh, nice.
20. Okay.
That's a 25. Woo!
18.
Excellent. 18. Okay.
Can
16.
16. So can I? Are we near a ledge, basically?
Yeah, essentially. Yeah.
So I want to know if I could just wait kind of till the last minute and then throw myself off and kind of glide away and come back.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the switchbacks, how they were that the well, at least there was just a path that you can come back up. But yes, so each of you, you see it well enough before it comes, and this snow starts barreling down, and each of you is able to duck just a little bit as the snow rolls over you. You know it could have been so much worse, even as the snow is pressing down on you. And then it gets quiet. Filgir, you float away downwards, stretching your wings out and gliding on this cold air. And you take a moment, and you're a little worried that you're going to need to land before it actually stops, but you glide away a bit, and you're able to curve around to a spot that it looks like the snow itself hasn't passed through. So you're able to find a purchase there, and you're probably, well, you're not really sure how far you are from your friends. You can't see them right now. So you're
That's not good.
a little concerned, and then one by one, you see them pop out of the snow. It's only about a foot on top of you. It's very heavy, but it could have been worse.
Wow.
And you can keep going. And the mountain lion is nowhere to be seen at this point.
First.
What?
I just want it to be like one of Hippa's little feet first.
Oh yeah, a tiny little paw pokes out, and that's the first thing that you see, Filgir, is just a little hand, and then
Grab it and pull up.
Yeah, you see you
Take
sort of
off all the
startle
snow.
a bit as Scourge's face pops up out of the snow. It's just his face, and his smile is pulled back, and his teeth are showing. His eyes are closed though with the cold a little bit, but he's still very scary. And then you're able to see Honey kind of comes out tail first, but she makes it out of there.
Little
So-
shimmy backwards out of the.
Yeah,
out of
you gotta work with whatever you've got. So
Everybody okay?
Full well, I want to turn around and see if I can see that mountain lion, because I had a memory cross my mind, turning to look towards where the mountain lion is.
yeah, so you look back to where the mountain lion was perched with its baby, and you don't see the baby. That's good, you think? And the mother isn't in view for a moment. She comes into view and looks at you all, and then turns away. She's done what she needed to you. She's made a warning.
As far as warnings go, that one's pretty
What'd we do to
Fisher.
deserve that one?
You
wrong place,
exist.
wrong time.
Yeah.
Let's move on before she decides to go from warning to action.
Yes.
Yeah. So it takes a little while for you to trek up this mountain. It's not terrain that you're all super familiar with. You're generally used to, the wood itself or areas nearby, but you're able to do it. Every once in a while you have to stop and sort of take a breather as the air seems to thin out a bit, and you reach into your packs and you put cloaks on. You didn't think you were going to be adding layers earlier today, but now you're realizing you need to.
Here we are.
And you keep going upward until you reach a point where you look overhead and you're able to see, just sort of peeking out with these other mountainous peaks, what looks like the top of a building. You see it get a little bit more clear as you sort of, continue to move upward. And then for sure this has to be it. It's a small-ish fortress. I mean, can a fortress be small? It doesn't look terribly big. It certainly looks old. There are parts of it that are crumbling a bit. The bricks have fallen and have sort of made piles of stone. It looks a little bit rough, but this has to be it. And as you sort of walk forward a little bit, there is what you think might be a front door. It's a little bit strange to think that you've ended up right at the front door of this place, but off in the distance, you're about 20 feet away, and you see what looks like a main entrance to this place. There are a few crates scattered here and there, sort of outside. A couple of them look like they might be open. And you can also see there are footprints nearby, entering and exiting. You realize that your path is now merging with other paths that have been forged here. They kind of go off in different directions, nothing too crazy. Small individual sets of feet, maybe a pair or so. But you can see that you're here.
All right. Spicy rumble mamas. Nope, that's not the one. Still trying it out. Anyway, are we going in hot? Or are we going in sneaky?
Well, we have no clue what's in there.
If you wouldn't mind, I would like to go in first.
I think that's a great idea, Scourge.
So how are you approaching this place?
Scourge is not one for dramatic entrances, funnily enough. He is going to try to be as stealthy as he can.
Okay.
Feels like a lie. So where to find the lie here?
Just purely because of what he looks like, every entrance is dramatic. But
He's very dramatic.
he is a stealthy boy.
So you start stealthing towards the door. How far back from this door is everybody going to be standing as Scourge moves forward?
I'll follow in his shadow.
Okay. Yeah.
Would it be like pressed up against the wall next to the door? So
Sure.
it's like my back is to the wall, but like I'm ready to like
Yeah,
hop in through the door.
there are a couple of crates on either side of the door. You can sort of hide your way against the wall, sort of behind one too, to give yourself a little bit of space if you want. There are enough places for you to be close enough, but not too close. And Scourge, as you start to walk towards this door, you get about 10 feet away, and the front door opens. And you hear a voice say, "Stop skulking around out there. Just come in before you freeze to death."
Unexpected.
You seem to
there's
be expected. That's
The moment that
interesting.
passes. And
Do they only see Scourge and they don't see any of the rest of us?
I would say from where you've all been, they would see Scourge and then maybe Filgir.
Okay. But
but-
me and Honey are kind of tucked.
Yeah, you've tucked yourself away a little bit, so you're not immediately visible from the front door. And Scourge, the door opens, and the voice that you heard belongs to a servant woman. So she sort of looks like a deer. She has a red cloak that covers her. It sort of drapes over really nice studded leather armor. The hood of her cloak is up over her head, and she has red paint on her face, and she is a sight to behold. She looks at you and says, "Come on. Let's just, it's very cold. I don't want to leave the door open for too long. Tell your other friends to come here too." And she'll sort of point like generally in the direction of the other two of you.
I make eye contact with Honey, like,
We're expected, it seems.
I think she knows we're here.
dang it.
I'll just motion for them to come out.
Yeah.
I'd like to roll out, actually. I'd like to do like
Yes.
full somersault.
Yes. Do you also want to make an intimidation roll? Is that like the vibe you're going for here with that? Just
Oh,
like, show off your
yeah, with a +0 to intimidation.
or a performance check. It depends on kind of
No.
like what vibe you want to give off here.
No, we're gonna do intimidation because
Yeah.
if I fail this, it's gonna be
Hilarious.
Yeah.
that's a 6.
Yeah. So here's the thing. The roll
I
itself.
hop up in this chair.
Yeah, the role itself is fine. I mean, you're very dexterous. You flip around for fun, frankly. So that's not the issue. The issue is that there is snow everywhere. And so you do the roll, And as you do it, snow sticks to your spines like Velcro, and you get up and you feel the weight of like an additional pack on your back where this snow has now stuck to your quills, and you sort of stand up and then you lean back and you stumble a little bit with the weight of it, and then you
I
right
just look
yourself.
like a big, adorable snowball,
You do.
that no one would be intimidated by.
So, this cloak she wears is kind of like a tire that she has.
Mm-hmm.
Does this spark any familiarity with Scourge?
You know that what she's wearing is definitely akin to what you've seen the Bandit Coalition wear. They generally dress themselves in red. It's not a specific uniform. It's sort of whatever folks can scrape together. The leather of her armor is very nice, and you do, sort of looking a little bit closer at her, you see sort of burned and embossed into the leather of her armor the sigil of the Bandit Coalition. And so you know she's definitely part of it.
I will keep walking as she'd wanted us to get inside, but I want to keep in pace with her. Just,
yeah.
I suppose you understand why we might be here.
Yes, I assume you're here for the tenders?
Correct.
Gosh, the council must be really afraid of our guys on the ground if they didn't bother to send the perch guard here. Good. Come on in.
That's your assumption then. This is the better option. Gives her a look.
Yeah. So, do you all enter?
Yeah, I want to
Following. Yeah.
I want to switch back my vigilant thingamabobber to myself, just because if we get, something gets sprung, I want to be able to react to protect us more quickly. But I'll definitely move in. But I am extra super on my.
Yes.
Well, I don't have toes, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. The tips of your claws, it works. Yeah, so you each enter and you're very aware of the space, and it doesn't look like much, but as you enter, you can see off to the left there's a very large space that you're able to see, and off to the right there's sort of, in a rounded portion of the corner of this, there's a rug, sort of tattered and dirty, surrounded by chairs, and in the middle of it there's a little brazier, campfire, and you think for a moment, well, it's not smart to have this lit inside, and you look up and there are missing stones above in several places from this. It's not exactly the most welcoming place, I guess. You would imagine that if that fire wasn't lit, as well as the one that you sort of see off in the distance, that this place would be very, very cold. And as you walk in, you see that this servant woman is standing there, giving you space, plenty of space, and she sort of looks to the side, and you see that there are a couple of other folk with her there. There seems to be a sort of weaselly looking guy, another canid, sort of another coyote, but he does not look like you, Scourge. And then there's also an absolutely massive badger. All of them adorned in leather armor and draped in red, indicating their status here with the Bandit Coalition. They all look at you a bit
like
more.
They're gonna kick our asses.
Yes, but with a quick glance, the servant woman just nods and they back up a little bit from your space too, giving you a little space to enter. And you stand on a tattered rug in this entrance, and she points to the seating area off to the right and says, "Why don't we have a seat for a moment? I can see that you're all very tense, and I think that we should chat for a bit." And she'll walk over and she'll sit in one of these. They look sort of comfortable, these armchairs. They were padded at one point. Some of them are slashed a little bit, and she sits. Two of her lackeys sort of move off into the other area where they you see they sit in other chairs by the fire across the way. The badger sort of leans up against the wall, sort of near the door, giving you space still. The door's still open, but she gestures to this seating space for you.
I look at Hippo kind of just like, but are we sitting down? Are we talking? Are we killing these fools? What's going on? I'm like, I don't know.
If you're invited into someone's home, you don't kill them immediately.
Depends who the person is.
So let's hear her out.
Yeah, I don't sit though. I'll remain standing. The better to be.
Yeah.
Ready to jump into.
Yeah,
action.
I want to melt the snow that's accumulated on my spines, and I want to make sure. I want to go up to the brazier and make sure it like drips all over their rug. So it's like I'm there, but like I'm
absolutely.
making it.
Yeah, you shake off, and she watches as the snow falls in clumps on the rug, and she looks at you and gives a nod. And you expect there to be annoyance in her eyes, but she almost looks a little bit impressed. And
I just go, "Oh, so sorry. Is this like a family heirloom rug or something?"
No, you're fine. Let me introduce myself to you if you're not aware. My name is Benna. I work here with the Coalition, and I know why you're here. So come and sit, and she'll take a seat over. There's a couch over here. She'll sit. The rest of you can all come in, and you can choose to join in that space or not.
Great snowy map here, Beth. By the way, this is
Oh, thanks.
Great
guys.
Snowy map.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I was about to ask where the other coyote was. Scourge will end up moving up there.
Yeah. So the other two, the coyote and the weasel guy, are sort of in the bottom right hand portion of the map. It's not currently on the stream right now, but they're there. You do see them. I mean, it is an open space. So you're able to keep eyes on them, and frankly, they don't appear to be giving you any attention. They are just sort of sitting in chairs by this fire. One of them has a tankard in his hand, and the other just sort of idly picks at threads on his cloak. The large badger still just sort of stands by the front door as you all enter. As the last of you get in, he walks over and he'll shut the doors. Not quite in an intimidating way, but he does shut them, and then he sort of makes to stand a little bit in front of the doors. Just a little bit.
We're going to have polite conversation, right?
I sure hope so, yes.
Then if that's the case, and he'll take out from his cloak the 2 daggers he owns and just jabs them into the armchair of the chair, and then just sit in it. No weapons. Polite conversation.
This is the guy who should have done the intimidation roll, not me.
I mean, you got to try. She looks at you, and again, it does not faze her. She just kind of gives you a smile and a nod. She reaches down to her boot and pulls out a dagger and sets it on the table. You can see she doesn't have any other like large weapons that you can tell on her person. And she sits there and she says, I know that they've sent you to take the tenders away, and we're obviously not going to turn them over to you, but I do have a proposition. You can join us. You can show the denizens of the canopy that they're just as vulnerable to those fires as those of us that are scattered in the wood.
Can I do an insight check to see if she's just like trying to throw us off or if like she genuinely wants us to join them?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I'm pretty good at insight. That's a 19 on the die, so that is a 23.
Yeah. She's not kidding.
What's her deal?
She's not kidding. She would love for you to become a part of this. And she sees you appraising her, and she says, we should show them how it feels to watch your home destroyed and your loved ones along with it. And she drops her hood and turns her head a bit, and you can see horrible burns from the back of her head all the way down to her neck, and you can see them sort of disappear under the neck of her shirt and her cloak. They're scarred over, and they frankly are a little upsetting to see. Join us if you'd like, or don't. That's fine too.
I feel like I need more information because it still seems like there's something you're not telling us. You called the people we come from denizens? I mean, I've fought fires before too. We've experienced them as well. What makes you different from us?
I'm different because I'm not putting up with the council and their lies, saying that they're there to protect the people and to make an asylum for them, and then they don't even let people in. They send people away saying that there's not enough space, send people home when their homes are engulfed in flames. I don't want any part of that. And I don't want anyone else to have to endure their bullshit. You know what? I don't think I'm going to get through to you, but that's okay. Because we've recently acquired a new power that makes our job easy. And you see out of the door here, right over there.
Also, do any of us know about like people being turned away?
No,
Scourge for sure. Scourge for sure actually might, yeah.
Scourge would know. Scourge would definitely know. I don't think it's super obvious. I mean, you know, having been at the monastery, you have a place that you've called home, and
say we were probably a bit more sheltered.
Yeah.
And, you know, because again, it's up north, so it's kind of tucked away from everything. So I think Hippa's mostly just confused because she doesn't really know what's going on. So I think she would turn to like the party for a little bit of like insight.
Yeah, and Benna doesn't. You can tell that she was hoping that this would be an easy talk, and she doesn't even want to continue with it. She nods over to the door that is sort of adjacent to this space, and she says, "Why don't you come out here and join us?" And out walks a bird folk. Kind of, he looks a little bit older. He has a hooked beak, and his feathers are sort of patchy in places. His robes are neutral colors, and he still has a badge shaped like a leaf pinned to his cloak, the mark of a tender. He comes over to you, standing in this space, and he sort of gives a smile that really rivals Scourge in terms of what it makes you feel. And he says, "Welcome. How kind of you to come to my rescue."
You didn't go missing at all. You willingly went here, didn't you?
Well, yes. You could say that. See, what I don't think you understand is that the job that we do it shows us things that nobody else has seen, things that are powerful. And as you can see, the power that, and he sort of points over to Benna, the power that she's exerting on the city is fantastic in its own right, but why not extend that a bit? I've worked enough time in that grove to know that the magic that it holds is incredibly powerful. Hundreds of years we've been trying to tame it, yet no one can. So why not try a different approach? Work with its power, try to harness it. I had made significant progress, though I suppose I got a little careless because my colleagues caught on and I couldn't have them blabbing, so we brought them here. Now,
Are they still here?
you've been offered the deal of a lifetime, frankly, to become a part of a group that is really making waves. What do you say?
I say we've heard a lot of talk and haven't seen a lot of results. Why should we believe you?
You don't believe us? Fine. And you see this older bird folk sort of flip his arms back, and you see his cloak sort of billows a bit, and you see there are like baubles and leaves and things that are very familiar to druids sort of draped across his body, and there are potion bottles attached to his hip and things that have been collected, and there are, it looks like samples of ash in these jars, and he flicks his wrist out, and you see around you this image of mist and smoke and moving images. You see an ash snake launching itself and reeling back. You see flashes of horrors of people being chased by fire. You see traces of magic that you didn't see but could feel in the Scorched Grove. He points all of this towards you and says, this is why. This is why you should join us, but you all look a little bit too soft. And he disappears from sight. He is gone. And yeah.
No, okay, never mind. Sorry.
Well, come on, Blake, what is it? There's something.
I was gonna cast see invisibility.
Go for it.
Yeah, but I kind of don't want to waste a second level on like 2 second level spells. So I kind of don't want to waste it on that.
Well,
All right.
if you're not going to do something, as soon as he sees him vanish, Scourge just that ends negotiations, I suppose. And you hear the sound of a twig snap, and Scourge is going to cast Ambush Prey.
Ooh, fun. Tell us what that does.
So Scourge channels his predatory energy, and his body begins to shimmer, and then as if he's being absorbed into shadow, he just vanishes from sight. And he essentially is now moving like a predator, stalking prey.
Amazing. I would expect nothing less.
I am invisible for the spell's duration.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
So 2 people just disappear before.
Yeah, you see this creepy bird disappear, and then you see your creepy friend disappear, and
I don't even know what's going on.
you don't even know what's going on.
I'm like, I was watching the 2 dudes down there. I'm like, man, that escalated quickly.
Benna stands up from where she's sitting. She sort of huffs out a breath and says, well, all right then. And she, with lightning speed, reaches up and grabs the dagger that she had set down before her, and she throws it at you, Hippa. I would like for you to make a dex save, and I would like everyone for everybody to roll initiative here.
All right, I'm rolling with advantage because of my
Advantage.
Oh, Garbo initiative 4.
Okay. I mean, you did have that like surprise round, I guess. So that's good. That's good.
I got my spell off. I'm good.
Yeah.
I got a. What did I get? I got a 16 on my dex save, and I got a 13 for initiative.
13. Okay, perfect. All right. What about Honey?
11.
11. Okay. Excellent. Okay, so things start happening fast. The dagger is thrown at you, Hippa, and you dodge out of the way. It sort of skitters across the floor, and Benna is up and she is moving. She darts around here, sort of to the side of you, and she pulls out from the back of her cloak a very well hidden scimitar, and she sort of swirls it and points it towards you. At the same time, this enormous badger steps forward and right up next to Filgir, and the two other members of this bandit coalition step forward, and they come closer to the fray as well, and weapons are drawn.
I want to look at her as she points the scimitar at me and say, for someone who really wanted to negotiate, you sure didn't talk for very long.
I didn't really want to negotiate. This is way more fun. And Filgir, you're up first here.
Right, Char. I'm going to start by dropping the old spiritual weapon as a bonus action.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll drop it like wherever, over here somewhere.
Sure. Perfect. Okay.
I can
and you can
use
make an attack with that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So in fact, actually, I'm going to drop it on her. Faster we kill her, better off we are. So I'm going to drop it there, and then I'm going to have it do an attack, and it's going to roll an 18. And with my spell modifier, it's going to be like 20 some odd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Assuming that'll
definitely hit.
That's going to whack a mole.
That'll definitely whack a mole. Yeah.
She's not a mole, but
Yeah.
And she will take, as soon as I find a D8, she will take 6 points of damage.
Okay. Yeah.
This whirling sword of light appears behind her and whacks her one.
Yeah. Totally.
And for my action, I will just basically, I'm not going to move out of combat with this guy. I'm going to stay in combat, but I want to kind of move more towards here kind of thing to be able to shed the others a little bit more. And I will thwack this one in front of me with my sword.
Yeah.
Sword.
Get that badger.
Oh, that's right. Here we go. Oh, and that's a miss. As I kind of try to move too quickly.
A miss. Yeah. So you send out your spiritual weapon, that shows up, your mind is focused on that, it hits, and you go to swipe forward with your sword, and this enormous badger is surprisingly dexterous, and he just scoots out of the way. And and so next is Hippa, and Honey, you're on deck.
Okay. So I rolled higher than her. She's not going to hit me yet. She just took out her sword.
She took out her sword. Her first movement was to throw the dagger at you, and
right.
She'll get through. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just gonna punch her a bunch.
Punch her. Do it. I want to see it.
Let's see. The first one is a nat 1.
Okay, that will not hit, unfortunately.
So I'm gonna spend a key point and do flurry of blows so I can attack 2 more times.
Get it.
Oh, bonus
Flurry,
action.
flurry.
One of those is a nat 20.
Oh, nice.
Ooh,
Woo.
absolutely.
Big
Does
score.
a 25 to hit? Does that hit?
Yes, that will definitely hit. Absolutely.
And the other one is an 18 to hit.
That hits as well.
Cool. So I want to use my open hand technique.
Perfect.
Because whenever I hit with one of my flurry blows attacks, I can impose one of the following effects on the target. I would like her to I'm trying to figure out if she seems like she has more dex or strength. I'm gonna say I'm gonna try to knock her prone. So she has to do a dex saving throw, a DC 12.
Yeah.
So I want to do like one uppercut and then the other one like with my other like punch down on her head to try to knock her to the ground.
And you absolutely do knock her to the ground. Yeah, she rolled a nat 1 for a total of 4. So you it feels like a sucker punch coming from you, and she is down.
Okay, that's the first one was a 7.
Okay.
Oh, and I dropped my die. Hang on, gotta find another one.
You downed her already. Jeez.
The other one is only a 4. So that's
4.
a total of 11 damage.
Did you we can double the 7 because it's crit, right?
Oh, you're
So
right. Yes,
14.
that's 14 plus another 4, so 18.
Yeah, so she falls backwards from this punch, and she looks back up at you with a sneer, and she is pissed, but prone.
I say, sorry about it.
Is there anything else you want to do on that turn?
I do want to move slightly like here. Just to kind of use my body as a shield between her and Honey.
Yeah.
But then also that way her attention's still on me so that Honey will get advantage.
Yeah.
Cool.
Absolutely.
That's my turn.
Perfect.
I know where Honey is. Like I know she's behind me. So I'm like, okay. Gotta make sure that like she's all set up for success.
Perfect. Okay. Honey, you are up.
Excellent. I'm gonna move kind of around this chair a little bit, and kind of perch on it. And
Nice.
I've got my rapier out, and I'm gonna attack with that.
Rapier.
Dirty 20.
Yeah.
Take attack.
That will hit. That will hit.
You rolled with advantage, right?
What?
You rolled with advantage, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay,
Nice.
cool. Just making sure.
Yes. So I did with the rapier I did the 6 piercing damage, and then with sneak attack another 11.
Okay. Yeah, she's on the ground. She gets throttled again, and this time blood has been drawn, and she looks a little bit surprised. She wasn't expecting you. Her focus was on Hippa, and here you are, and you got her. Anything else you wanted to do with your turn?
I am gonna disengage and move back.
Okay. Very good. Now, we have the big old badger. He is going to take a swing at you, Filgear.
Bring it.
Yeah, and that will be that is a 16.
Haha! My armor withstands your attempts to injure me, villain.
He goes and he takes a big swing and whiffs, and maybe you were wrong about how dexterous he is, and so he just absolutely whiffs it there, and sort of gives you a sneer. And he's got, for such a big guy, he's just got little needly teeth. And then his compatriots are gonna run up and follow. So this coyote is gonna come closer to you, honey, and the weasel is going to come right up on you, Filgear. So the weasel is going to attack you with a rapier as well, and let's see, does a 17 hit?
On the nose.
On the nose. Okay. So he pulls out this rapier. You're focused on this big old badger, and he is able to just slice you just a little bit. He does 4 points of damage. And he pulls back, and he also has a sneer on his face. You see that he's got some scars on his face that you presume he got from brawls like this, and he is ready for more. Next, we have our least favorite stabby friend, Benna, and she is going to use her half of her movement to stand up from being prone. She takes her scimitar and she makes a slash at you, Hippa, and that'll be a 16 to hit.
Does not hit.
Does not hit. She takes a swing and a slice, and she misses you. She brings it around again for another slice, and that is a... Ooh, that is a 21 to hit.
That hits.
Okay, yeah. So she comes back with the second swing. It slices through you, and it will do 7 points of slashing damage as she draws it across. She looks to move, but knows that there's no space for this, and so she holds her position. And Scourge, you're up.
Scourge is going to... I know this might seem like bullying.
Do it.
Like it's right about there. As I pop out of invisibility, I'm going to swing the... Because I didn't remove my sickle, I'm going to swing the sickle.
Excellent.
Is she still prone?
No, she got up.
She is up. Cool.
Yeah.
So I'm going to swing the sickle anyway. Oh, please, please. Oh. That's a 21.
21 will hit. Yeah, definitely.
All right. I'm going to roll my damage, then I roll extra damage because I popped out of my
Perfect.
Ambush prey. So first damage. So that's 7 points of slashing, and she also takes another 6 points of... What damage is that? It just says points of damage, so I'm assuming it just digs in deeper. So visually, as there's like this rustle in the air, and from behind her, Hippa, you can see Scourge just seems to rise out of the darkness with the sickle in his mouth. Hello. And slices backwards. Yep.
So glad that you're on our side, because wow, terrifying.
You slice at her, and it cuts across her neck, and you see as blood starts to pour, she holds her neck for a moment, and she starts to fall backwards into the chair that's behind her. And she looks disappointed, and then she goes.
All right.
And
wow, that was fast.
Her compatriots see this happen and look a little bit shook. And so we're gonna go back to the top of the order with Filgear.
Actually, before we do, I'm going to use my bonus action.
Oh yes, please.
Because I know that there's still more people, he's going to glance to Hippa, smile, and hold out the sickle, and you will see it elongate, and the handle of it also elongates into a staff and scythe as he casts Shadow Blade on it.
Amazing.
So now it is a full-fledged scythe.
That
so
is
cool.
Crazy cool. Okay.
You see Hippa claps a little, and she's like, "I'm so proud of you.
Now
You're
I'm
so
done.
scary."
Okay. Filgear, you're up. You've got 2 henchmen on your feathered tail.
I would like to use the opportunity that maybe they're a little shook, and what I would like to do is I would like to use thaumaturgy to make my voice boom up to 3 times as loud as normal for a minute. And as I will sort of just stand in front of them and unfurl my wings and bring up my sword and my shield and just stand as tall and as proud looking as I can, and I will just make my voice boom and say, "Flee or suffer the same fate." But except it comes out more like, "Flee or suffer the same fate."
Still scary. Make an intimidation roll for me.
All right, I will make an intimidation roll, and I will use my advantage given to me by Insomnia earlier on.
Hey, perfect.
That's right.
Thanks, Tommy.
It's good because I got like really nothing to help me with on intimidation. It's just not something I do. I got a 13.
Yeah, it doesn't matter that intimidation isn't what you do. The weasel rolled very poorly.
Nice. Well, he is a weasel.
So he looks at you and hears this voice that he was not expecting, and he sees his leader bleeding out, and he looks and he shakes his head and he says, "No," and he bolts towards the front door and tries to shoot out. You'll get an attack of opportunity as well.
Let him go.
Okay. Yeah. He scatters and is gone.
All right.
Yeah.
Let
So
me just see if I have my spiritual weapon still active, and as a bonus action I can move it. So I will bring it over here to help me.
perfect. Yeah. It slides right over as this badger watches one of his friends just abandon ship, and now a spectral weapon is like shooting towards him, and the intimidation is a little bit more intense.
Except that I missed, so
Well, you know,
it doesn't pay off.
it's okay. Okay, so we are short on time, so we're just going to zip through a little bit of this here. Okay, so let's get through another round of everybody here. So we have Hippa is up next, and then Honey, you're on deck.
Yep. I see Phil Gear is doing pretty well, so I'm gonna run up and help Honey. And I'm gonna attack with a action and bonus action unarmed strike. So that's gonna be a 20 and a 14.
The 20 hits, the 14 does
30,
not.
20. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So with the 20, that's gonna be 7 damage.
Perfect. Okay.
And that's my
7
turn.
Damage. Okay. Perfect. Honey, you're up. This coyote in front of you just keeled over a little bit. He's still standing, but he's a little bit hurt. Yeah.
Sorry.
All right, I'm gonna grab out my rapier and try to slash him.
Do it.
14.
14 just misses. He sort of dodges away, seemingly because he saw Benna bleeding out, and he's sort of like erratically looking around to make sure he's not the only one left here. But in a stroke of luck, he moves out of the way.
I will disengage and move back.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. So then we have it is their turn. And we see this giant badger is going to take another swing at you, Filgir, and that is a 17 to hit. Does a 17 hit you, Filgir?
Oh, yes, sorry.
Yeah. No, it's okay. That's okay.
I thought you were fighting in the other corner there.
No, we're at you, man. This is
I'm like
is rough.
17 for sure. They're hitting whoever's out there at 17. I'm like, poor suckers. Haha. Oh wait, no, that's me.
Phil Gear and Hippa have the same AC. They're twins.
Oh.
That's
so
hilarious.
It takes a swat at you, and it only does 2 points of damage against you, and then the badger sort of looks over his shoulder at where his friend has run off, and he just
I
says,
give him the rock eyebrow.
yeah, he says no, and he starts to run away. You can take an attack of opportunity if you wanted there too.
No, I let him go.
Okay.
Ah.
Yeah, he bolts, seemingly without their leader here. It's not worth it. You do still have the coyote engaged with you, Hippa, and you see as
Sure you want to do this, buddy?
he's not sure at all. You see suddenly appearing from where he had been standing before is Nosiris, and he sees what's happening. He notes the death of really seemingly the only one who's on his side here. He looks around and just says, "Your time will come. I guarantee it." And he disappears from view again. And with that, the coyote lets out a little yelp, and we are to. Is it Scourge's turn now?
I think
Are
it's
you
me.
next? Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, you're up.
Well, he's going to very irritatedly. He's going to head down this way,
Mm-hmm.
and he will get just to the side of the coyote, and he wants to go through where that door is, but all right, you're there, and my blood's up. Swing the scythe at the coyote.
Excellent.
Let me
Get
make
after
sure
it.
of how this attack works.
If you don't mind, just say a very, very warm welcome to our raiders.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Scrolling back through, goblets and warlocks. Thank you so much. I was scrolling back through all the the raid things. Thank you so much for the raid. We super appreciate it. If you can't come in, just as we're mopping up these fools.
I'm going to
get one up on us.
I'm going to swing this as if it's my sickle, since that's what it works off of.
Yeah.
And then
Sickle move, bro.
does a 16 hit?
Yes, a 16 will hit him.
Cool. So swing the shadow blade. 2d8. That's 9 points of psychic damage.
Ooh. You see his eyes kind of bulge with the feeling.
Just to make sure that it doesn't matter. I was making sure that we weren't in dim light or darkness. It really does not matter.
No, there's plenty of light in here anyways.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I thought you were trying to make sure if we were good guys and wouldn't kill him, but would offer him a chance to surrender.
See, coyote.
Okay, after that slash, would you allow me a bonus action to intimidate him?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
It's what you're made for.
Yeah, I literally am designed for that. I will say what I'm going to do, but just draw the scythe, look at him, and just, you're going to want to run now, cub.
He lets out a yelp
That's a
like you have
24.
never heard. Yeah, and he bolts. He just runs. He'll run out of your range, both Hippa and Scourge, and he'll run past you, Filgir, if you want to take attacks of opportunity.
I'll let him go.
Yeah, so he goes. There don't seem to be any other bandits here, but you are curious about what happened with Nosiris. You're able to take a look around this entire compound, and bit by bit, you uncover sort of a bunk room where there are bedrolls and some cots and some extra storage things. It looks like for the folks that were there, plus a few others, if need be. There is a food storage area. They have a room that is sort of set up and it looks a little bit nicer. There's a bed on a rug that actually looks like a decent rug, and a fireplace there. And as you go to reach the final room just past the fireplace in the main space, you see the door will open, and out come two birdfolk figures that I will drag out here for you. they walk out and look to you. One of them is a sort of a shorter bird folk with feathers that streak back. They're sort of their face is like adorned with leaves. The other that comes out is a little bit taller and looks like a falcon. And they come out to you. They sort of look around, sort of addressing the scene. And the falcon looks and says, "Oh, thank you. Is Nasiris still here?"
Didn't see him when we were searching. Must have
Hey, I
turned
cast
tail and ran.
now I cast
See invisibility.
yeah.
Yeah. You can
Or did he teleport? That's the
you
question.
can take a look around, looking again, even through this place with your see invisibility up, and there does not appear to be a sign of him at all.
I see no
Um,
sign of him at all.
Did he blink? Because didn't he appear right back in the spot where he was?
He
I don't know.
did
Anyway.
at that point, yeah. But they come up to you, and they say, "Well, I suppose when he left, the magic on our door must have gone away. That's promising. Perhaps he went far away. This doesn't necessarily bode well, but either way." And they introduce themselves. The Kestrel woman, her name is Baol, and she shakes each of your hands. You see her green robes are adorned with the symbol of the tenders, and the other bird folk comes up and he says, I'm Rufius. It's a pleasure. Thank you very much for this. It's rather unfortunate. We had been doing work in the grove, and over time, Nasiris, he changed. He's always been very smart and a little aloof, but over time things just weren't right. And I don't know. I think perhaps the weight of that place overtook him. And I mean, we've seen people struggle with the grove, but there was something. He yearned for power that no one should have, and well. It appears as though he's gone for now.
My
but-
experience with that kind of people is that they don't stay gone very long. I'm sure we'll see his hide again someday.
I'm sure you're right. At least in the meantime, we can get back down and continue to do our work. He had been trying to thwart us at every turn. We only realized recently that he was undoing the work that we had done every night, and we wondered why things were so difficult in this space, but they didn't need to be. So we should get back and continue what we need to do.
He met a few of the other tenders, and they were very worried about you, and I'm sure they will be very excited to have you back.
Just mind the lion, the mountain lion on the way down.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, we'll escort you. We have to go back that way anyway.
wonderful. Okay. They are incredibly powerful mages, but not in the way that would benefit them at all in a fight necessarily. So they would gladly take your escort back. You traverse down the mountain, fortunately not seeing any mountain lions to ruin your day. You enter the scorched grove with your little trick to allow you to hopefully not feel much more than the heat. You get to the oasis and you're greeted by Ollie and Dash, and they are over the moon to see their friends. And Dash sort of grumbles, "You know what? I never did like Nasiris. He wasn't very polite." And Ollie just sort of rolls her eyes, like as if you could have predicted this. You pass through the second portion of the grove and back to the wood, a space that, with its own dangers, still feels far more comfortable than the places that you've been. You find your way back to the great tree city of Alderheart. You're greeted by the mayor, who thanks you so genuinely, and definitely
I elbow Fieldgear, like, make a move.
she definitely keeps her eyes on you, Fieldgear, when sort of giving these effusive compliments. She glances away at others, but she's looking at you.
And I'm,
yeah.
not handling it well, of course, just kind of really nervous and mumbling things and looking down at my feet and just generally being very uncomfortable in my own pants.
You are celebrated for a little bit as folks who endured some pretty dangerous things to try to maintain the safety of the wood that everyone calls home. But eventually the fanfare dies down, as it always does, and things sort of get back to normal. And you continue to adventure together for a while, but eventually many years pass, and the tenders will continue to give their hearts and souls to repairing the scorched grove. Progress is slow, but there is progress. Bandit groups will come and go, and none of them are quite like the coalition, but they all do their own, things. The Birdfolk Council becomes just the council, and they start electing humble folk to better represent the population. So your group might stick together for a while, continuing to help with these immediate relief efforts in the wood, and eventually some of you might split off to pursue other paths, until the day comes that you are summoned once again to the offices of the mayor of Alderheart. The note is sealed with the mark of the council and asks you to come with your bravery and expertise for another rescue mission. The note has a signature of Mayor Silas Laurel, but Silas is scratched out, and above it is written Skip. You've all made your mark on Humblewood, and it's a better place because of you. And that's where we're going to end our story. There's clearly more to tell. There are still dangers and still evils there, but for now, this is a win. You were able to do your part. And with that, we'll end that. And I just want to say, wow, thank you. This was a lot of fun. I hope that anybody watching got to enjoy this. If you weren't able to see part 1, feel free to go back and watch as this motley crew of animal adventurers gets themselves in and out of trouble. But thank you. This has been a lot of fun as a first-time stream DMing experience. I'm so grateful for all of the players. You made my job very easy because you're all so good, and I really appreciate that. So let's go around and sort of, reintroduce ourselves, talk about what you're up to, and maybe where we can see you next. And we'll start with Rachel.
Thanks so much to Beth for such an amazing game. Humblewood was adorable and also existential and deep and interesting and rich, and just fantastic job, Beth, for bringing us all on here. I'm Rachel, or Arya Galaxy. I played Hippa the Hedge Monk. I've been on quite a few Monday Night Mayhems over the last few months, kind of getting a addiction to streaming at this point. It's really starting to creep up on me, and Bleak predicted it. I am hoping to be on another stream on another night of the week, so stay tuned for the official announcement for that. And yeah, I'm super excited to have played with all of you, and welcome again Deb for her streaming debut. Really an honor to play with you. Hopefully we'll see you more in the future. And you can catch me on Twitter at Carollo_Rachel. I also have an Instagram at CarolloRach. So hit me up and join the Discord, because the Discord for Superior Adventurers Guild is fantastic. It's a great community, and please join. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Hippo was really fun. She was cute as a button and just as deadly. So glad that she was able to. Yeah, she really did. Oh boy. All right. Well, speaking of debuts, Deb, how'd you like it?
I loved it. It was so fun. Also, both of my cats also made their debuts during this evening stream. So that was, exciting. I'm glad that Smaug waited until the end to, show his disastrous face. But so much fun. Thank you, Beth, so much for inviting me to be part of this. It was a blast, and I hope to be back sometime soon for another stream.
Excellent. We hope so too. Yeah, okay, so next up we have the busiest guy in the room, Javante. Thank you for giving me nightmare fuel with Scourge.
No problem, happy to help.
What a creepy and cool character. I'm so glad that you were able to do a semi-villain situation, because you're good at it.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I'm hyper busy, so if you guys want to catch me on things, you can catch me Sunday nights doing Vessen with Bleak Season, Vessen Issa, or right here on same Twitch channel, same Twitch time, same Twitch place. On every second and fourth Monday, you can catch me doing Power Rangers with the Initiative Order. We will actually be having our first session next Monday, so check them out there. If you want to see me behind the screen on the other side as a DM, check out my Twitter at Javante, Jevaunte. I'm looking for some players for a Dune campaign, so if you want to have some fun with that, please throw your hat in the ring. I'm really excited to actually be able to DM for people again. Other than that, I'm doing a lot of other stuff outside of that. I have some wrestling stuff that I'm getting thrown in. I have a few Twitch plans in place as well, so happy to be here. Really excited to see what else we get to do. I love this place. This is an awesome team. Thank you for having me. Yeah,
thank you for being here. You've got a lot going on, and I'm excited to check out all of it. And Bleak Season, thank you for coming in and giving us all of the owl-related puns and jokes that you could come up with.
Well, I wasn't going to let that opportunity slide. Thank you so much, Beth. We had 2 debuts between you GMing and Deb playing, and both were extremely successful, and we're very honored here at Guild Spirit that you chose to make your debut with us. So thank you very much for that. Thank you also to Miko for the wonderful production here. I'm Bleak Season. You can find me at the Bleak Season on Twitter. I'll next be here tomorrow night. Playing another cleric, but a bit of a shorter stature with my dwarf storm cleric in DM Dave's wonderful Heroes of Greyhawk. And then, as always, I'm around on Thursdays jamming Shadesong, and as Javante talked about, doing Vaesen, my increasingly favorite game, on next Sunday. So we had tons of other cool stuff. Miko will tell you all about it. Thank you so much. Look forward to playing with all of you again. Thank you, Beth. It was absolutely wonderful. And see you next time.
Perfect. Yes, I'm very glad to have done this. I was very nervous, and it turned out to be very fun. So do things that make you nervous, I guess. Yeah. I have had a ton of fun with the players. I've had a ton of fun working on this with Miko, the best producer in the whole world. Thank you. And yeah, I am Beth Masco. You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Beth Masco. And I am on the Shadesong Saga on Thursdays. It's pretty great. And yeah, hopefully I'll be popping in and out of Monday Night Mayhem as well. So with that, thank you all again.